Have you ever carried the unbearable, soul-crushing weight of believing the entire universe rests on your shoulders? That if you don't hold every thread of your life together, if you don't orchestrate, anticipate, fix, and manage every detail, then everything will fall apart? This message is for you, the one who's mastered the art of control. You've been told, and maybe now believe, that to stay safe, to succeed, to matter, you must stay in control of your emotions, of your timelines, of every possible outcome. Even your healing something sacred and organic has become just another project to conquer, another problem to solve. And let's be honest, you're brilliant at it. A genius at keeping up the facade. 3 steps ahead, 10 contingency plans deep, always preempting the next crack before it dares to show. You've built a lifer kingdom, even on the sheer force of your effort. But deep inside, in the spaces you rarely admit to anyone, a softer truth has been whispering, what if I'm not supposed to hold it all together? What if I was never meant to try this hard? If these words are landing in the marrow of your being, if you feel that quiet ache of recognition, no, this isn't an accident. You're here because your soul called you to this message. You've built your life on strength, yes, but strength is tiring when it's always wrapped in armor. The world taught you that control is power, that certainty is safety, that success is the reward of the relentless. But here's the secret no one tells you, even the most fortified walls eventually crack. The tighter your grip, the more life resists. The more you push, the more exhausted you become from life's challenges, but from the effort of trying to prevent them. And slowly, a terrifying and liberating truth begins to surface. What if the force that's supposed to protect me is the very thing keeping me stuck? This isn't failure, it's your soul sending an urgent invitation. A plea from your higher self. It's time to awaken to a new way of being. And deep within the sacred, quiet chambers of your heart, you've probably already begun asking the question most people spend their lives avoiding. What if my constant effort to control is the very thing keeping me out of alignment with the life meant for me? Because here is the truth most never realize. Control doesn't create flow, it creates friction. It builds walls. It traps you in a version of life so carefully constructed, yet so fragile that the moment you stop pushing, everything feels like it might collapse. Control isn't protection, it's a prison disguised as stability, a fortress built out of fear. And isn't that why you're exhausted? Because every waking moment has been spent reinforcing walls that were never meant to exist in the first place. But what if there was another way? A path not paved with force, but with trust. Not with strategy, but with surrender. What if the life you're chasing has been trying to reach you, but your grip has been too tight to receive it? Imagine, just for a breath, that life never needed your relentless micromanagement to work. That the universe, in its infinite wisdom, has always known the perfect timing, the perfect unfolding, the perfect path for you. What if the real task was never to control it all but to trust it all? You felt this before, that quiet resistance humming beneath your skin when things don't go to plan, that ache in your chest when uncertainty stretches longer than you're comfortable with, that low, constant hum of anxiety when the future is too foggy to predict. And what do? You manage harder. You plan deeper, you fix, optimize, adjust. Because control feels like safety. Control whispers, if I just stay vigilant, nothing will catch me off guard, I won't have to feel pain. But here's the cosmic joke, universe doesn't care about your mental spreadsheets. It moves by its own rhythm, its own divine intelligence. And the more you try to bend life to your will, the more disconnected and brittle you feel. Because alignment doesn't come from control. It comes from surrender. This is the paradox no one teaches us. You don't get the life you force, you get the life you align with. Force is born from lack, from separation, from fear. It vibrates. I don't have it yet, so I must fight for it. But trust vibrates with abundance, with peace, with the quiet, unshakable knowing that what's meant for you is already yours, energetically moving toward you even now. Trust isn't passivity, it's power. It's the courage to breathe deeper, to loosen your death grip on every outcome, to remember you were never meant to carry the weight of the entire universe on your shoulders. You are not here to micromanage life. You are here to live it, fully, wildly, beautifully. And the moment you let go, even just a little, life starts moving for you, not against you. That is alignment. That is freedom. True alignment dawns when you cease trying to control the timing, the outcome, the feelings, the pace. It emerges when you finally stop putting yourself in a mental and spiritual chokehold, desperately trying to make everything make sense. And maybe, just maybe, the version of you that you have been so desperately trying to become the calm one, the aligned one, the unshakable one who doesn't react, maybe that version of you doesn't require more effort. Have you ever considered that it might require less gripping, less explaining, less fixing, less managing your way through every single emotion just to feel a fleeting sense of safety? Because alignment, my dear soul, doesn't come from effort, it comes from honesty. And you can never be truly honest when you are always trying to look like you've got it all together. The very moment you begin to let go, to truly, deeply release your grip, you will notice a miraculous shift in places you didn't expect. It won't happen in your mind first, it will happen in your body. The suffocating pressure in your chest begins to ease. Your shoulders, which have been carrying the weight of the world, begin to soften and drop without you having to force them to relax. Your breath deepens and finds its own natural, peaceful rhythm, a rhythm far more profound than any meditation app could ever teach you. You stop tensing up every time something doesn't go as planned. Because now, you are no longer bracing for life, you are meeting it, you are dancing with it, you stop rushing through mental conversations, playing out scenarios in your head before they even happen. You stop preparing for emotional emergencies that never arrive, you stop trying to outthink disappointment, because now you trust that if it comes, you will be able to feel it without being destroyed by it. Letting go doesn't make you passive, it makes you profoundly present. And in that sacred presence, things start to align in the most magical ways. Not because you are forcing them to, but because you are finally not in the way. You are no longer editing your emotions before they are allowed to exist. You are no longer running ahead of life, trying to prevent chaos. You are no longer playing God with your own timeline. And strangely, miraculously, things just start working. Not always in the way you expected, but in the way they were always meant to. Opportunities show up that you could have never planned for. People enter your life who feel effortless to connect with, who resonate with your soul's true frequency. Answers rise from the depths of your being that you weren't even consciously looking for, because now you are quiet enough to hear them. You begin to move differently, too. You speak more slowly, with more intention. You listen without the frantic need to solve. You wake up without a sense of dread, because you are no longer carrying the invisible, crushing burden of holding the entire universe together. You don't feel in control, but for the first time you feel in rhythm, and that is the difference that changes everything. Control is exhausting, rhythm is natural. And when you stop trying to master life, life finally has the space to meet you. Once you start living in this rhythm, not by force but by release, your relationship with uncertainty completely transforms. It stops being something you try to eliminate, a fearsome enemy to be vanquished. It stops being something you constantly work against. It becomes something you can actually stand inside of without panicking, without overthinking, without feeling like you are falling behind. You stop asking, when will this make sense? And you start asking, can I stay with this even if it doesn't? You stop making your peace conditional on outcomes. You stop needing the next step to be perfectly clear before you are willing to take it. And for the first time in a long time, you start trusting something deeper than your mind. Because the truth is, timing doesn't obey your tension. It doesn't bend just because you are impatient. It doesn't speed up when you are anxious, and it doesn't slow down when you want more time. But the more you relax into what is, the more timing seems to cooperate anyway. Not because you forced it, but because you stopped interfering. And the more you stay in that space of trust, the more you see how many of your struggles were self-created. Not on purpose, not because you were doing something wrong, but because you were trying to protect yourself with an effort that came from fear. An effort that said, if I don't try harder, it won't work. If I don't manage it, it will collapse. If I don't stay alert, I will miss everything I'm meant for. But alignment doesn't arrive because you stayed alert. It arrives because you stayed open. Open to the discomfort, open to the slow moments. Open to the plans falling apart so something real could finally come in. Open to letting life move in ways that don't match your logic but somehow feel exactly right. And suddenly, effort becomes optional. Not because you stop caring, but because things start flowing in ways you could never have predicted when you were trying to run the show. You don't stop taking action. You just stop trying to control the outcome of every step. You still move forward, but now it is from clarity, not pressure. Now it is from presence, not performance. Now it is from trust, not tension. And as this shift deepens, something even bigger starts to unravel: your very identity. You begin to realize just how much of who you thought you were was built on the shaky foundation of control. How much of your self-worth came from being the one who had it all together, the one who could manage emotions, predict outcomes, fix situations before they crack. You were proud of it, and maybe it even protected you for a time. You became the reliable one, the strong one, the emotionally aware one, the one who could hold it all and hold everyone else too. But when you start letting go of that control, even a little, you start meeting the version of you underneath all of that effort. The version that isn't always managing, the version that doesn't have a plan, the version that doesn't need to perform balance in order to feel valuable. At first, it is unsettling, because control gave you structure, it gave you a sense of identity, even if it was an exhausting one. And now, you are stepping into a space where you don't have to keep proving you are okay. And suddenly, okay starts to feel different. Okay doesn't mean polished, it doesn't mean unreadable, it doesn't mean endlessly composed, it means real, present, responsive instead of reactive, soft instead of strategic. You start saying what you mean, even if your voice shakes. You stop explaining yourself when silence says more. You stop bending in conversations just to keep the peace, because now your peace isn't something you are willing to trade just to be accepted, and that changes everything. You are not the version of yourself you created just to survive. You are becoming the version of yourself that knows survival isn't the goal anymore. Alignment is. And alignment doesn't require you to earn it with perfection. It just asks you to stop abandoning yourself in the name of control. You don't need to make every moment work. You don't need to fix your thoughts before you speak. You don't need to rehearse who you are to feel safe being seen. You just need to stay with you, even when it is uncomfortable, even when things don't go to plan, even when you feel exposed, uncertain, unpolished, because now you know you are not here to get it all right. You are here to get real. And real doesn't live in control. It lives in trust. And once you have stopped gripping so tightly, something strange happens. Not everything falls into place overnight. Not everything makes sense. But the way you respond to life, that changes completely. You are no longer waiting for things to be perfect so you can finally breathe. You are no longer watching your emotions like they are liabilities. You are no longer living life like a series of problems to solve. You are just in it finally, unfolding moment by moment, not planning your way through it like a chessboard. You begin to notice that peace isn't this huge, dramatic feeling. It is the absence of that constant, internal resistance. It is the quiet space underneath all the thoughts you used to chase. It is the simple fact that you don't need to monitor every moment anymore to feel okay. And because you are no longer constantly managing life, you start to actually experience it. Not in hindsight, not after you have analyzed it, but as it is happening. You start being with yourself instead of ahead of yourself. You start trusting a version of you that doesn't need to have all the answers before you take the next step. And slowly, you don't have to fight your thoughts to stay present. You just return, gently. You are not performing presence, you are inhabiting it. And life, it starts moving around you differently. Not dramatically, not all at once, but in small, almost invisible ways. You begin noticing how little you need to interfere. You watch how things resolve themselves when you stop managing them. You see how people shift when you no longer need to control the energy in the room. You feel how your body softens when it is no longer preparing to defend itself all the time. And alignment doesn't look the way you thought it would. It is not some perfect version of your life coming together like a puzzle. It is not control dressed up in spiritual language. It is not you feeling calm 100% of the time. It is you not abandoning yourself when you are not calm. It is you staying centered even when you are uncertain. It is you trusting the process without needing to label every step. It is you breathing through discomfort instead of trying to outthink it. It is you letting conversations unfold without managing the outcome. It is you letting the day happen without orchestrating every second for maximum safety. And more than anything, alignment is you not waiting for life to be perfect before you allow yourself to enjoy it. You begin to understand that peace wasn't ever waiting at the end of control. It was buried beneath it, suffocated by all the effort, all the rules, all the pressure to get it right. Now, you are not getting it right. You are just getting real. You stop asking if you are doing enough. You stop questioning whether you are behind. You stop comparing your pace to someone else's timeline. Because now you are in rhythm with something that cannot be measured, and that rhythm, once you feel it, it is yours. You don't have to force it, you just have to trust it. And maybe that is the shift. Not controlling every outcome, but trusting that things align when you stop forcing them. You don't need to figure it all out, you just need to stay present through the parts that don't make sense yet. So, if something in you softened, drop the word open in the comments. Let that be your quiet reminder. You are done gripping. And if you want more space like this, subscribe. I will keep showing up with the same energy. No pressure, no perfection, just real alignment.